Do. Knock knock.
Who there?
Tank.
Thank who?
You're welcome.
Всем привет! Всем привет! Сегодня на нашем канале мы, два носителя языка, опять говорим о языке весело и непринужденно. Сегодня мы хотим обсудить американский юмор, как создавать шутки и как пошутить так среди американцев, чтобы вас поняли и не обиделись. Aaron, what three words describe American humor?
Variety, storytelling, and creative.
Мгм.
Variety because America is made up of a variety of people with different jobs, from different backgrounds. They live in different places. And all of these characteristics of our lives are what make up our stories, which are different but have some things in common. And these experiences are what make up our stories. And that's where storytelling comes in. We like to tell stories about our lives and the things we do. And these
Mhm.
stories give context to the funny situation we're trying to describe. And I say creative because we're always trying to create new jokes and new ways of making people laugh to make life better for ourselves and better for those around us.
I know you were in Russia several times, and I'm sure that you were asked to explain some American jokes to Russians. Yeah?
Yes, I've had to do this at times, like the joke we told in the beginning. I have to explain that tank, which sounds like that military thing, that goes boom, 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 and it has a big nose in the front of it, shoots the big bullets. Sounds like the word thank. And then when you put tank with who, like Kato, it sounds like tank who. It sounds like thank you, which is the American spasiba, and that's the basis of how that works jokes. And once I explain that, then it makes a little bit more sense.
All right. So, but I believe that there is a pun uh, between two sounds, t, th, right? Okay. You've been learning the Russian language for a while. From your perspective, which American jokes do you think lose the meaning when translated?
I think the best, way to answer that question is a specific joke that kind of depends on the knowledge of English and Russian. For example, what do you get when you take the B out of bananas?
Mhm.
A pineapple. Now, if you don't know English and Russian, this does not make any sense. Because literally, what happens when you take the B out of bananas? You have the sound ananas. And I know what ananas means because I understand Russian. And you speak Russian and you understand, okay, this is the word for pineapple in Russian.
Yeah, sorry for my interrupting, but does it mean that we need to be hypercloths to understand foreign jokes?
Not always. I think being a polyglot or someone that speaks English and Russian is would be essential to understanding this joke. To understanding any specific joke, it depends on the joke and the words used to form the foundation of the joke.
Hmm.
Um, you don't have necessarily have to be a polyglot. You just have to know what the words in that particular joke mean. I
Okay,
would say.
okay. And where do Americans joke about most often? And do they actually like joking?
Do like joking. We joke about a lot of different things. We joke about our jobs, our family, our homes, traffic, the government, and our lives in general. We may not always be in a good mood. Some days we may be in a bad mood because we had a bad day, but other times we can make jokes about that very same bad day.
Okay. All right. A couple of times I've noticed that the British were joking with a poker face. As is often the case, I rack my brain about whether or not they were serious. How about Americans? Are they always serious, especially with deadpan delivery?
Deadpan delivery can be a good way of telling a joke, but you know, I would say I would look at the body language and the facial expressions of any American you might meet, and you probably have a good idea of what they're thinking or feeling. If someone, has an angry expression and it looks like they had a bad day,
Mm-hmm.
they might not feel like joking. Other times, they're going to make a joke about that same bad day and recreating that facial expression, that angry mood that you had during that funny incident can help make the joke funnier. So again, look at the body language, and the facial expressions, and also the context, and then
Mm-hmm.
you get
Mm-hmm.
the idea of whether or not the person is really angry or not.
Okay. What kind of jokes do you enjoy?
Julia, I absolutely adore and love the pun. Puns usually involve words that have similar sounds or meanings. For example, what do cows do after work? They go to the movies. Now, the basis of this joke is if you listen to the word moo and movies, you can hear the same ooh, ooh, ooh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I can drive home the connection between the word movie and the cow moo by mispronouncing the word movie just a little bit. I go movies, just make it a little bit longer, and you have that connection to a cow and a movie. And so
Mm-hmm.
that forms the basis of making that joke, that sound and joke funny. Um, and this type of joke where you're doing this kind of word play, it's also known as a dad joke because at one point in time, these types of jokes were told by dads to their children, and
Mm-hmm.
hence
Mm-hmm.
the name dad joke. But you don't have to be a dad to tell these type of jokes. It's just when people say, "Oh, you're telling me a dad joke," keep that in mind that that's where that came from. It's because it got associated with dads telling these type of jokes to kids because kids laugh at almost anything.
All right. So, and if you want to come up with that jokes, what ingredients will be part and parcel to cook them up?
Um, Dad jokes involve a short question and a short answer.
Mm-hmm.
The answer involves one of the following: a word with
Mm-hmm.
multiple meanings, sort of like a buck,
Mm-hmm.
a chicken that makes a sound. And also, a buck is also another word for a US dollar. I have $1 in my pocket. I have $2, $3. Um, Also, puns are made up of words that sound like other words. For example, a fork. We eat with forks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we also, fork has another meaning in that you fork over, you give somebody something, fork over the money that you owe me. Um, and this is the kind of things, the kind of logic and tools that are used to build upon. I typically create puns by thinking of what I want the answer to be. I kind of reverse engineer it. Like, let's think of the name of a famous restaurant that we all know, our coffee place, rather, Starbucks. Starbucks has two parts: star, which
Mm-hmm.
is what we see in space. Those little white things, the stars, and of course, like bucks, the U.S. dollar, which we also call bucks. So we got a little bit of meaning and sounds in there that we can do something with. So with this in mind, I kind of think, what kind of question could result in the answer that has all these wonderful associations? So stars are in space. What are also in space? Astronauts. So, and astronauts use money.
So
So,
anyway, it's quite challenging to guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I came up with the question: what do astronauts use to buy things in outer space? Starbucks. They're in the
Starbucks.
stars and they
Okay.
have bucks.
Yeah, let me make up a joke.
Okay.
Um, Marta.
Well, we can tell a cat joke later, Julia.
All right.
Yes,
Okay. One,
Martha wants to
two,
listen.
one, two, three. Let me ma... Марта, иди, пожалуйста, отсюда. I'm sorry. And again, all right. Um, let me make up a dead joke.
Okay.
Why doesn't the egg tell secrets? because it might crack up. Or, why did Math's book look sad? Because it had too many problems.
Julia, I like your enthusiasm for anything telling these jokes. I love it because, we all have
Well,
problems. Okay, man.
Erin, I was training a bit in creating jokes before our talk. And well, my last question for you. What can you say to those people who'd like to commence joking in English so that other people won't cringe at their jokes?
I'd say start simple. Use short jokes with clear wordplay. Um, and pay attention to how people react. Jokes are social. Um, but don't worry if a joke doesn't land. Some of the best joke, especially puns and dad jokes, get groans and rolling eyes. Oh, ah. And if you get that kind of reaction from somebody, you probably did a good job telling that particular pun or dad joke. Um, and the wonderful thing about telling dad jokes is you have to do that wordplay. You have to think about the meanings of words and the connections. And I think what a better way to learn how English or any language works by than playing with them and putting, in funny sentences and making funny connections.
All right, Erin, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge about American humor. I've raved about your ability to explain cultural nuances so clearly. Если вам понравилось видео, не забывайте поставить лайк и подписаться. Всем пока, Эрин. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye bye.